My husband opened his eyes, looked directly at me and said, "Why do you look exactly like my wife who passed away?" I laughed nervously and said, "Honey, I am your wife." His face went pale. He started screaming. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "No, I was at your funeral last year. I watched them lower your casket into the ground. My name is Sloan Barrett. I am 32 years old. I teach third grade at Riverside Elementary School in a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio. I have been married to my husband Marcus for 6 years. We met at a barbecue at our mutual friend's house. He spilled lemonade on my white dress and spent the next 2 hours apologizing while I laughed at how embarrassed he was. By the end of the night, I knew I was going to marry him. Marcus is 35. He works as an architect at a firm downtown. He designs buildings that people live and work in. He is calm and patient and logical. In 6 years of marriage, he has never once raised his voice at me. He has never lied to me. He is the kind of man who brings me flowers on random Tuesdays just because he was thinking about me. We have a good life, a simple life. We live in a 2-story house with a small backyard. We have a dog named Chester who sheds everywhere and steals socks. We have been trying to have a baby for 2 years now without success. But we keep hoping. We keep trying. We keep believing that our family will grow when the time is right. That morning started like any other morning. It was a Tuesday in late October. The leaves outside were turning orange and red. The air had that crisp autumn smell. I woke up before Marcus, which is normal. He likes to sleep in when he does not have early meetings. I lay there for a moment, just looking at him. His face was peaceful. His breathing was slow and steady. I felt grateful in that moment, grateful for this man, grateful for this life, grateful for the warmth of our bed and the quiet of the morning. I got up and went downstairs to make coffee. Chester followed me, his tail wagging, hoping for breakfast. I fed him first, then started the coffee machine. I scrolled through my phone while I waited. I looked at pictures from our anniversary dinner 2 weeks earlier. There was one photo of Marcus kissing my cheek while I smiled at the camera. I loved that picture. We looked so happy. We were so happy. The coffee finished brewing. I poured 2 cups. I decided to surprise Marcus by bringing him coffee in bed. He always said that was his favorite way to wake up. I walked upstairs carefully, trying not to spill. As I passed the bathroom, I noticed something strange. Marcus's wedding ring was sitting on the counter by the sink. That was odd. He never takes his ring off. He told me once that the only time that ring would leave his finger is if someone cut his hand off. I picked it up and carried it with me, planning to ask him about it. I pushed open the bedroom door with my shoulder. Marcus was stirring, just starting to wake up. I smiled and said, "Good morning, sleepyhead. I brought you coffee." He opened his eyes, and then everything I knew about my life fell apart. He did not smile when he saw me. He did not say, "Good morning." Instead, his eyes went wide with terror. He scrambled backward on the bed so fast that he nearly fell off the other side. His back hit the headboard and he pressed himself against it, like he was trying to disappear into the wall. "Who are you?" he demanded. His voice was shaking. "Why are you in my house? How did you get in here?" I stood there frozen. The coffee cups were still in my hands. I did not understand what was happening. "Marcus, it's me," I said. "It's Sloan, your wife." His face twisted with something between horror and grief. "My wife is dead," he said. "She died a year ago. I buried her." Before we continue, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story, and drop a comment telling me where you are watching from today. I love hearing from all of you. Now let me take you back to before this nightmare began. To understand how I ended up standing in my own bedroom while my husband looked at me like I was a ghost, I need to tell you about our life before that morning. Marcus and I built something beautiful together. It took time and patience and a lot of small moments that added up to something bigger than either of us. When we first got married, we lived in a tiny apartment with thin walls and noisy neighbors. We could hear the couple next door arguing about dishes every single night. We could hear the man upstairs playing guitar badly at 2 in the morning, but we did not care. We were happy just to be together. After 3 years, we saved enough for a down payment on a house. Nothing fancy. A small 2-story place in a quiet neighborhood with good schools. We figured the good schools would matter someday when we had children. We painted the walls ourselves. We planted flowers in the front yard. We adopted Chester from a shelter and watched him grow from a nervous rescue dog into the happiest, most spoiled animal in Ohio. My life was not perfect, but it was full. I loved my job. Teaching third graders is exhausting and chaotic, but there is nothing like watching a kid finally understand something they have been struggling with. That moment when their face lights up with understanding. That is why I became a teacher. Marcus loved his work too. He would come home and show me sketches of buildings he was designing. He talked about load-bearing walls and natural light and sustainable materials. I did not always understand everything he said, but I loved watching him talk about it. His whole face would change when he was excited about a project. We had our routines. Sunday mornings, we made pancakes together. Wednesday nights, we watched our favorite cooking competition show. Friday evenings, we ordered pizza and played board games. Small things, normal things, the kind of things that do not seem important until they are gone. My mother passed away 3 years ago from cancer. Her name was Diane. She was my best friend. Losing her nearly broke me. Marcus held me together during that time. He took care of everything while I could barely get out of bed. He made sure I ate. He made sure I showered. He sat with me while I cried and never once told me to stop or to be strong. He just let me feel what I needed to feel. That is the kind of man Marcus is. Steady, patient, kind. His family was smaller than mine. His parents divorced when he was young. His father moved to California and they rarely spoke. His mother passed away 5 years ago from a stroke. The only family Marcus had left was his younger sister, Corinne. Corinne was 30 years old. She worked as an administrator at the local hospital. She handled paperwork and records and scheduling. She was good at her job, efficient, organized. But she and I never quite connected. From the first time Marcus introduced us, I felt something cold from her. She smiled at me, but the smile never reached her eyes. She hugged me at our wedding, but her arms stayed stiff. She remembered my birthday every year, but her cards always felt formal, distant. I asked Marcus about it once. He said Corinne had always been private and a little awkward with new people. He said she would warm up eventually. I wanted to believe him. I tried to include her in our lives. I invited her to dinners and holidays. I sent her texts to check in on her, but she always kept me at arm's length. I stopped worrying about it after a while. Some people just do not click. It does not have to mean anything. Looking back now, I wish I had paid more attention. I wish I had asked more questions. I wish I had trusted the feeling in my gut that told me something was wrong, but I did not. I trusted my husband. I trusted our life. I trusted that the people around us wanted what was best for us. That Tuesday morning, when Marcus looked at me with terror in his eyes, I realized how wrong I had been. The man I loved more than anything in the world believed with his whole heart that I was dead, and I was about to find out why. I stood there holding the coffee cups while my husband pressed himself against the headboard like I was something dangerous, like I was something that should not exist. The look on his face was pure terror. This was not a joke. This was not a prank. Marcus genuinely believed that I was dead. "Marcus, please calm down," I said. My voice was shaking, but I tried to keep it steady. "I do not know what is happening right now, but I am your wife. I am Sloan. We have been married for 6 years. We live in this house together. We have a dog named Chester. Please, just look at me." He shook his head violently. Tears were streaming down his face now. "My wife died 13 months ago," he said. "She was in a car accident on Route 9. The police called me at work. I had to go to the morgue and identify her body. I saw her. I saw her face. It was destroyed, but I knew it was her. I buried her at Meadowbrook Cemetery. I scattered some of her ashes on the hiking trail where I proposed. I have spent the last year trying to figure out how to live without her." I dropped the coffee cups. They shattered on the hardwood floor and the hot liquid splashed everywhere, but I did not care. I did not even feel it. My whole body had gone numb. Marcus was describing things with such detail, such certainty. He was not confused or disoriented. He fully believed everything he was saying. "Marcus, none of that happened," I said. I was crying now too. I was not in a car accident. I have been here with you this whole time. We had dinner together last night. We watched television. You fell asleep on the couch, and I woke you up and told you to come to bed. Do you not remember any of that? He stared at me with a mix of fear and confusion. I remember going to bed alone, he said quietly. I have slept alone in this bed for over a year. Every night I reach over to your side and it is empty. Every morning I wake up and remember that you are gone. And now you are standing here, looking exactly like her, and I do not understand what is happening. I needed to prove to him that I was real, that I was his wife. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and pulled up our photos. I showed him pictures of us from 2 weeks ago at our anniversary dinner. I showed him text messages we had exchanged yesterday. I showed him my driver's license with my name and my face and our address. Marcus looked at all of it. He studied every photo and every message. But instead of calming down, he became more agitated. This is not possible, he kept saying. This cannot be real. Either I am losing my mind or you are some kind of imposter. Those photos are fake. They have to be fake. I did not know what else to do. I decided to call someone who could back me up. I called my best friend Vanessa. She and I had been friends since college. She was at our wedding. She knew me better than almost anyone. She could tell Marcus that I was alive and that everything was fine. Vanessa answered on the third ring. Hello? She said. Vanessa, it is Sloan, I said. I need your help. Something is wrong with Marcus. He thinks I am dead. Can you please tell him that I am alive? Can you please tell him that you just saw me last week? There was silence on the other end of the line. A long, heavy silence that made my stomach drop. Sloan? Vanessa finally said. Her voice was barely a whisper. Is this some kind of sick joke? Who is this really? Vanessa, it is me, I said desperately. It is Sloan, your best friend. We had lunch together 10 days ago at that new Italian place downtown. You ordered the mushroom pasta. We talked about your sister's wedding. Sloan is dead, Vanessa said. Her voice cracked with emotion. She has been dead for over a year. I do not know who you are or why you are doing this. But please stop. This is cruel. The line went dead. I lowered the phone slowly. My hands were trembling so badly I almost dropped it. According to my best friend, according to my own husband, I had been dead for 13 months. But I was standing right here. I was breathing. I was alive. None of this made any sense. And I realized with growing horror that I needed to find out what really happened on the day the world decided I no longer existed. I stood in the middle of my bedroom, surrounded by broken coffee cups and spilled liquid, while my husband stared at me like I was a stranger. My best friend had just hung up on me because she believed I was dead. The whole world had apparently moved on without me, and I had no idea why. I could have fallen apart in that moment. I could have collapsed on the floor and given up, but something inside me refused to accept this. I was not dead. I was standing right here with a beating heart and working lungs and memories of a life I had lived. If everyone believed I was gone, then someone had made them believe it. Someone had created this lie, and I was going to find out who. I wiped my tears and looked at Marcus. He was still pressed against the headboard, watching me with a mixture of fear and confusion. I am going to prove to you that I am real, I said. I am going to prove that whatever you think happened did not actually happen. Will you come with me, or do I have to do this alone? Marcus did not answer right away. I could see the war happening inside him. Part of him wanted to run away from me. Part of him wanted to believe that his wife was somehow standing in front of him after a year of grief. Finally, he nodded slowly. I will come with you, he said, but I am driving my own car. I am not getting in a vehicle with you until I understand what is going on. I agreed to his terms. I went downstairs and grabbed my laptop first. I needed to see what the world believed about my death. I sat at the kitchen table and searched my own name. What I found made me feel like I was living in a nightmare. There was an obituary in the local newspaper dated 13 months ago. It had my photo. It described me as a beloved wife and dedicated teacher. It said I died in a car accident on Route 9 and that I was survived by my husband, Marcus Barrett. There were quotes from colleagues and friends talking about how much they would miss me. I found a memorial page on social media. Hundreds of people had left comments expressing their condolences. Former students wrote about how I had changed their lives. Coworkers shared memories of me in the teacher's lounge. Vanessa had written a long post about losing her best friend. Marcus had written that he did not know how he would survive without me. I felt sick reading all of it. These were real people expressing real grief over my death. But I had not died. I was right here. Someone had convinced the entire world that I was gone, and they had done it so thoroughly that even my husband and best friend believed it completely. I closed the laptop and told Marcus we needed to go to the cemetery. If there was a grave with my name on it, I needed to see it with my own eyes. We drove separately, just like he wanted. I followed his car through streets I had driven 1,000 times before. Everything looked the same. The coffee shop where I got my morning latte, the park where Marcus and I walked Chester, the school where I taught. My life was still here, only apparently I was not supposed to be part of it anymore. We arrived at Meadowbrook Cemetery and walked through the rows of headstones together. Marcus knew exactly where to go. He had clearly been here many times before. We stopped in front of a grave near a large oak tree. I read the words carved into the stone and my knees almost gave out. Sloan Marie Barrett, beloved wife, 1992-2023. The dates indicated I had died on October 15th of last year. I knelt down in front of my own grave and touched the cold stone. This was real. Someone had put a body in the ground and marked it with my name. Someone had buried a stranger and told the world it was me. Then I noticed something important. October 15th. I remembered that day clearly. I had been home with a terrible flu. Marcus brought me soup and medicine. I had photos on my phone from that week showing me wrapped in blankets on the couch. I was not in any car accident. I was sick at home while my husband took care of me. Someone else was in this grave, and suddenly I knew exactly who might have the answers. Marcus's sister, Corinne, had handled the funeral arrangements. Corinne worked at the hospital where bodies were identified. Corinne had always looked at me with cold eyes and distant smiles. Everything pointed directly to her. Marcus and I drove to Corinne's apartment on the other side of town. Neither of us spoke during the drive. There was nothing to say. We were both trapped in a nightmare that did not make sense. And the only person who might have answers was the woman who had always looked at me like I did not belong in her brother's life. I had called the police before we left the cemetery. I told them everything. They thought I was crazy at first, but I gave them enough details that they agreed to send officers to meet us at Corinne's apartment. I was not going to confront her alone. I was not going to give her any chance to escape or lie her way out of this. We arrived at her building and parked on the street. 2 police officers were already waiting nearby in an unmarked car. They nodded at me as I walked past. Marcus stayed close behind me but kept his distance. He still did not fully trust me. He still did not fully believe that I was his wife. I could not blame him. His entire reality had been shattered, just like mine. I knocked on Corinne's door. There was a long pause. I could hear movement inside. Then the door opened, and Corinne stood there in sweatpants and a loose shirt. She looked tired. She looked like someone who had not been sleeping well. When she saw me, her face did not show surprise or shock or fear. Instead, it showed something else entirely. It showed resignation. It showed the look of someone who had been caught and knew there was no way out. "How are you here?" she asked quietly. "How did you figure it out?" "Figure what out, Corinne?" I demanded. "That you faked my death? That you made everyone I love believe I was gone? That you buried a stranger in a grave with my name on it?" Corinne did not deny anything. She just stepped back and led us into her apartment. The police officers followed us inside. Marcus stood near the door with his arms crossed, staring at his sister like he had never seen her before. "I did it for him," Corinne said. She was looking at Marcus now, not at me. "I did everything for him. You were never right for him. You were taking him away from his family, from me. I watched him fall in love with you and forget that I existed. I watched him choose you over and over again, while I sat alone waiting for him to remember that I was his sister, that I loved him first." Marcus's face went pale. "What did you do?" he whispered. Corinne sat down on her couch and started talking. She told us everything. A year ago, a woman died in a car accident on Route 9. The woman had no identification. She had no family. She was a Jane Doe with injuries so severe that her face was unrecognizable. Corinne saw an opportunity. She worked at the hospital. She had access to records and files. She changed the Jane Doe's paperwork to match my information. She falsified dental records to confirm the identification. She called Marcus at work and told him his wife had been in an accident. She took him to the morgue and showed him a body so damaged that he could not possibly know it was not me. She handled all the funeral arrangements so no one would look too closely. She made the whole world believe that Sloan Barrett was dead, but that was not the worst part. The worst part was what she did to Marcus afterward. She admitted that she had been drugging him for the entire year. She put medication in his food and drinks that caused memory problems and confusion. She slowly rewrote his reality. She made him forget the real memories and accept the false ones. She isolated him from friends and family so she could be his only support. She was positioning herself to become the most important person in his life. Marcus collapsed into a chair. He was shaking. Tears were streaming down his face. His own sister had stolen a year of his life. She had made him believe his wife was dead. She had poisoned him and manipulated him and twisted his mind until he did not know what was real anymore. The police officers stepped forward and put handcuffs on Corinne. She did not resist. As they led her toward the door, she looked at Marcus one last time. "I did it because I love you," she said. Marcus turned his face away. He could not even look at her. "I had a sister once," he said quietly. "She died the day she decided to destroy my life." Corinne was taken away. The door closed behind her, and Marcus and I were left standing in the silence, trying to figure out how to put the pieces of our shattered lives back together. The weeks that followed Corinne's arrest were some of the hardest of my life. You would think that proving I was alive and exposing the truth would make everything better, but trauma does not work that way. You cannot just erase a year of grief and manipulation and expect everything to go back to normal overnight. Marcus had to go through medical treatment to flush the drugs from his system. The doctors said Corinne had been giving him a combination of medications that caused memory distortion and made him highly suggestible. She had essentially been rewriting his brain for an entire year. The recovery process was slow and painful. Some days Marcus would wake up confused about what year it was. Other days he would look at me and start crying because he suddenly remembered something real from our life together that he had forgotten. I stayed by his side through all of it. I held his hand during doctor appointments. I sat with him during therapy sessions. I reminded him of our memories when the false ones tried to take over. I told him about our wedding day and our first apartment, and the time Chester ate an entire pizza off the counter. Slowly, piece by piece, my husband came back to me. The hardest part for Marcus was accepting what his sister had done. Corinne was the only family he had left. Their parents were gone. He had no aunts or uncles or cousins he was close to. She was supposed to be the one person he could always count on. Learning that she had betrayed him so completely nearly destroyed him. He went through stages of denial and anger and grief. He blamed himself for not seeing the signs. I told him over and over that none of this was his fault. Corinne had fooled everyone. She had fooled me too. I reconnected with Vanessa a few days after Corinne's arrest. She came to our house and burst into tears the moment she saw me. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. She kept saying she was sorry. She kept saying she should have known. I told her there was no way she could have known. Corinne had created a lie so convincing that even my own husband believed it. Vanessa had no reason to question what everyone else accepted as truth. The police investigation uncovered more details about what Corinne had done. The Jane Doe she had buried in my place was eventually identified through DNA testing. Her real name was Patricia Simmons. She was 40 years old and had been homeless for several years. She had no family looking for her. No one reported her missing. Corinne had chosen her victim carefully. She picked someone the world had already forgotten. Patricia's remains were moved to a proper grave with her real name. A small service was held for her. Marcus and I attended. We did not know this woman, but she deserved to be remembered. She deserved to have her identity back. I placed flowers on her grave and thanked her silently. In a strange way, her death had been used to erase me. The least I could do was make sure she was not erased, too. Corinne pleaded guilty to avoid a trial. She was charged with fraud, falsifying medical records, illegal drugging, and a list of other crimes I could not even keep track of. The judge sentenced her to 12 years in prison. Marcus never visited her. He never wrote to her. He told me that the sister he loved died the moment she decided to hurt me. The woman in prison was a stranger. 6 months after everything happened, Marcus and I went back to the hiking trail where he proposed. It was a warm spring evening, and the sun was setting behind the mountains. We sat on a rock overlooking the valley and held hands without speaking. There was peace in the silence. There was healing in just being together. Marcus turned to me and said, "I am so sorry I forgot you, even for a moment, even when it was not my fault. I am sorry." I leaned into him and rested my head on his shoulder. "You did not forget me," I said. "Someone tried to erase me, but I am still here, and I am not going anywhere." We stayed on that trail until the stars came out. We talked about the future, about trying for a baby again, about building new memories to replace the ones that were stolen from us, about choosing each other every single day, no matter what. Sometimes the people who want to destroy you are the ones sitting at your dinner table. They smile at your wedding. They send you birthday cards. They wait for the perfect moment to strike. But here is what I learned. The truth always finds a way to surface. Love always finds a way to survive. And no matter how hard someone tries to erase you from the world, you have the power to write yourself back into existence. If this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would have done if you woke up and everyone believed you were dead. I read every single comment, and I love hearing your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and never let anyone make you disappear.